Welcome to Red Dragon. This mod, specifically called Ice and Fire, Dragons in a Whole New Light, adds a bunch of D&D style monsters. These include lots of stuff, from liches to hippogriffs and more, which they'll be fighting. But the most well known is that it adds my channel's mascot, dragons. If you spawn in with a spawn egg, you're more likely to get babies and tiny ones. But yet, that isn't even a fully grown dragon. That's just stage 3 out of 5, when it's finally become adult enough to not be called a baby anymore. These things are seriously no joke in combat. For those of you who have heard of RLcraft, which is said to be like a super challenge mode of Minecraft, these dragons are what make it so hard. They are, people have said at least, one of the hardest parts of RLcraft. As my channel mascot is a red dragon, I really do like this mod as it fits my channel a lot, and we got a red dragon right there. And the coolest part about this is, aside from just having wild dragons that will kill you very quickly, but aside from just having the wild dragons, you can actually get your own pet dragons and raise them from babies. So I'll be showing you that later. Now, as I said, there's a lot more stuff besides dragons. This mod started off with just dragons when it first came out in 1.10.2. And it's most well known for the dragons, and they're my favorite part. So I'm going to start off by talking about the dragons. Later on, I'll talk about all the other creatures and enemies. As you can see, the fire breath attack creates a hell of destruction, and that it's actually enough to one-shot you in full iron armor, especially if you don't have fire resistance. So I'd be very careful. Even with fire resistance, if the dragon gets too close, you can end up dying right away. I'll prove it. That actually lasted longer than I thought it would have. If I was facing a fully adult dragon, it would not have lasted that long. If you fly around for long enough, you'll eventually come across a dragon's lair. Of course, if you're unlucky, you might come across one right near your base. Oh, there's another thing. In deserts, specifically, there's a chance of finding a skeleton of a dragon. These are essentially a dead dragon and can actually be harvested by right-clicking them. You can get dragon skulls, which are used in some recipes, and dragon bones. The bones are used in a few recipes, so you can get dragon bone flutes and dragon horns, which will be useful once you actually have your own dragon. And you can make dragon bone tools and weapons, which is better than diamond, as long as you have a wither bone, which is dropped off another mob from the mod. You can't get scales from these skeletal dragons, meaning you can't make dragon scale armor, which is a good set. So you're limited at the moment. There. It took longer than I thought it would, but I found a dragon lair. These are usually fairly common, and the dragons are very protective of them. You can see that one going after that hippogriff there. But they'll attack anyone who comes near. In this area, you'll find these gold piles, which when broken will give you gold nuggets, some useless charred land, and a bunch of chests they'll be full of. You usually don't get anything super special in these. Like, I've noticed they don't add loot tables from other mods. You'll get a lot of iron, sometimes some gold and diamonds. You also get manuscripts, which are used in the bestiary, which will actually be important. If you're wondering what this is chain links. It's just used to make chainmail. But yeah, these manuscripts can add a full page to your bestiary, which will give you intel on the mod. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to find yourself a lectern, or make yourself a lectern, which is simply 2 planks in a book. Then you need to make yourself a blank bestiary, which will be 3 manuscripts. These cannot be crafted, they actually have to be found in chests. And now that you found a dragon's lair, you should have access to some. There are easier ways to get them besides dragon lairs. A lot of the other structures generated by this mod will have them in chests. So you don't need to be at the level where you can take down a dragon before you can get this. You're going to need a lot of them, because what you do is if you put down the lectern and the bestiary, and add manuscript pages, you can pick a page to unlock, such as Hydra, Ice Dragon Eggs, Ice Dragons. You can kind of see through all of them. I'm in creative, so it's not using up pages, but you can see how my bestiary itself is filling up, and I can just spam through the options if I want to get a full bestiary on all the stuff in the mod. What I'm using here is the Ice Dragon Sword, which is really good at killing fire dragons. It only did that fast because I had strength. How you get these special swords, the ice one kills fire dragons really well and the fire one kills ice dragons really well, is what you need to do is after you kill a dragon, take a glass bottle and right click, and you'll get their blood. Fire dragon blood is used in one other recipe, but it's used with a dragon bone sword to make the fire dragon bone sword, or flame dragon bone sword. Whereas the ice dragon bone sword is made with ice dragon blood after killing an ice dragon. But once you actually slay your first dragon, you should be able to get a bunch of stuff from it by right clicking it. You can get dragon scales, another skull, just like from the skeletons. You also get fire dragon flesh and a fire dragon heart. These scales are the most important part, as they'll allow you to make dragon scale armor, which gives you protection from dragon breath attacks. If you want to take on any of the full adult dragons, which are actually all underground, you're definitely going to need at least this armor. If you have other mods installed, you might be able to take them down using stuff from that. There's all sorts of colors of dragon scale armor based on the color of the dragon you kill. I killed a black dragon there, so my armor's black. I'm a huge fan of the texture of all these parts. I think it actually looks really cool, and there's a lot of tiny little detail. I think the helmet might be a bit much, but I guess it's interesting. I think it's kind of cool. If you mine for long enough underground, you should come across a dragon's lair. So here's one here. And I won't be able to see it very well right now. But if I light up the area a bit, and we have here, it's hard to see the lightning glitches, an adult dragon. I believe I had to say that this is actually stage 4, not stage 5, so they do get bigger than this. But these places are full of tons of loot. There's ores galore with diamonds and emerald everywhere. And then it's commonly filled with all these chests that actually do have better loot than the ones up above. There's more gold, more emeralds, more diamonds. There's enchanted gear. There's just a lot of stuff. But the real prize is from killing the dragon. I still have my massive strength boost, so I should be able to one-shot this. Yeah. And as I right-click this dragon to loot it, I should, if I'm lucky... Did I get lucky? No, I don't think I got lucky. But if you're lucky enough, you should be able to get a dragon egg. I did not, so I'm going to have to try again with another dragon. I've come across another lair. And I think I saw one in there. Yes, I did. I got a bronze egg. I feel like I'm really not doing these dragons and the challenge they pose justice. So I suited up. And I'm ready to try taking one on real quick. Now, as you can see, that didn't really go well for me. I got eaten and slammed through a wall where I suffocated to death while I was being eaten alive. That was only a tier 4 dragon still. Those things are not messing around. So you really got to prepare for that fight. You got to use some sharp tactics if you want to try to win. And if they start eating you, well, just don't let them start eating you because they can start tearing away your health and it's sometimes impossible to get out of there. But well, I do now have a dragon egg, so... if I can grab a few more from creative, I can show you my favorite part about Ice and Fire dragons. Getting your own dragon. For the fire egg, you're really only going to need 2 things. Well, besides the egg, of course. But you're going to need netherrack, and you're going to need a way to light the fire. I should just be able to place down an egg and light this flint and steel. And there you can see it's rolling around, and... the fire will spread. That's how Minecraft works. The egg will eventually hatch. For an ice dragon egg, you just want to make a pool of water like this. And if you place the egg in it, it should eventually, yep, it should just freeze like that. And then that means it started in the process of hatching. as well. Some items you're going to need for the baby dragon. That's not my dragon. That's just what I explained earlier. Some items you're going to need for the dragons are the dragon command staff, which you'll have to use to give them commands. And for that, it's just one of those skulls. It can be any dragon skull. And a stick. But you should definitely have at least a dragon skull if you have the eggs, assuming you're not doing this in creative. The other thing you're going to want is a dragon horn. This will let you transport the dragons, and you'll basically be able to right click at any place and the dragon will just come to you. I'll show you more about it once the dragons hatch. To make this, you're just going to need 4 dragon bones, which you should have plenty of, and a single stick. So again, it's all pretty cheap. The one thing that can get somewhat pricey is dragon meal, because it's 5 bones and basically 4 of any meat, but it does add up, because what this does is it will make your dragon grow up a tiny bit. You can just wait until it grows up naturally, but this is a very slow process, so if you want to speed that up a lot, you're going to need a ton of dragon meal. I mean, if you like having baby dragons around, then it shouldn't be a problem. As for the dragon meal itself, there's other variants, actually. There's the creative one, which lets you instantly tame any creative dragon, but that's not craftable, obviously. The other thing you can make is called sickly dragon meal. This is done with dragon meal, spider eyes, and poisonous potatoes, and it will make it so your dragon doesn't grow up. Or at least, like, it grows up very, very slowly, if at all. So that way, you can have a baby dragon forever. You can also try to get your hands on dragon armor, but it's very expensive and it's not going to be necessary yet since the dragons can't even wear them until they grow up somewhat. However, if you are going to be taking them into battle, you're definitely going to want that to make it so they don't die. I mean, well, they do have a lot of health and they're pretty hard to kill. Depending on what other mods you have installed, they could be in danger without the armor. These eggs will take 3 in-game days to hatch. They have hatched. We have a baby ice dragon and a baby fire dragon. Hello. And if you want, you can actually just right-click them to pick them up and put them on your shoulder. This guy's a little channel mascot here. And they'll actually breathe a little burst of fire occasionally, which is incredibly cute in my mind. But where'd my ice dragon go? Ha ha ha! I am the Dragon Master. So what you're going to do is go up to your baby dragons and right-click them with the Dragon Command Staff. This will tell them what to do, from staying in place, like a wolf that you told to sit, to escorting you, in which case they'll follow you around, to simply wandering around. I'm going to have him stay for now, and I'm actually going to put him in this horn. So now he's in the horn, so if I ever wanted to get him out, I can just hold this down and just call him out like that. I was talking about dragon meal earlier, so it's time to show you how quickly that can have an effect if you try it. Yeah, baby armored dragon. So let's see, if I just feed it up, you can see how each one of these will grow it and give it about 4 new health until it becomes a bigger and bigger dragon. That is a full-size dragon. If you shift and click, you can see the stage of the dragon here and how many days worth of, well, how many days worth of growth it's undergone. I sped through all those days with the dragon meal. Now let me see if I can remember how to ride these things. I forgot to mention this item, the Dragon Bone Flute. It's actually extremely useful because it's really easy to craft, and what it does when you right-click it, it will calm any nearby tamed dragons and have them lower down to where you are. So if your dragon gets in a fight you don't want it to be in, it's a good way to calm it down. To heal up the dragon, you should just be able to give it dragon meal, which will heal a ton, or even just any food like steak, or even raw beef, should heal a smaller amount. I for some reason couldn't get on the other dragon, so I just right-clicked on the new one I created. So now you can kind of see that I should be able to fly around and go up by pressing space, and if you hold it down to get off the ground, and now you can fly in a dragon. Do an attack, hover wherever you want to attack, and press the keybind, which by default should be R. For this dragon, a breath attack isn't that powerful, as it only covered that small area. But it does have spikes, and it can do a lot of damage if it hits a player directly. Okay, now I have a fully grown dragon, so I hold space to get off the ground. I can really fly around feeling like a boss here. You also have a keybind for going down, because if you press shift, you'll fall off. For me, that's X. That's what it is by default, but it might be different if you feel the need to change it. Now, let's see if I can attack this sheep. Press R. Or maybe press and hold R. Maybe I can do a breath attack. As you can see, that's a lot more this is a lot more destruction being created than by the first attack by a much smaller dragon, because you can really spray it around. And any sheep that was in here before is completely gone. Let's grow up our fire dragon here. Let's set the time to night here, so I can get some mobs spawning in. Because now we can fly around and show off a fully powered fire attack. You might want to put armor on your dragons, but they'll still be complete powerhouses even without it. There's some spiders. Let's see what we can do here. There's a creeper. Okay, that thing died instantly. That takes care of it. Oh, and there's an actual wild enemy dragon. Let's see if I can start a fight with it. Like a dragon. Yep, that's a dragon. It's attacking me here. Now, if I can hit this with a good breath attack, I should be able to take it down because I'm much stronger, but aerial combat is something that obviously takes some practice. Is it already dead? Is that why this is happening? Yep, it's already dead. That got taken down a while ago, and I was just fighting a dead dragon. But as you can see... Oh. He went to sleep. They do that. At night, the dragons will go to sleep if you're not riding them. But yeah, he took out this dragon in no time at all. But yeah, that's the gist of it on getting your own dragons and taming them and riding them. I think there's a lot of fun to be had with the aerial combat here. And a lot that could be supported if you have like magic mods for spells and stuff. And I feel like I've only gotten started on trying all that out, and it could be a ton of fun to get into. In fact, it actually gives me the desire to play a magic mod pack with like other players based around getting your own dragons and casting spells off the backs of dragons. Because when you're on them, there's nothing stopping you from using the items in your hands. Like, you can use a bow from the back of a dragon very easily. See, I can just fly up here, and then I can just pull out a bow and, yeah, fire arrows off just fine. It's quite difficult to hit any shot with an arrow. But I feel like with practice I could get better. And also, the main thing is, if you're using area of effect style stuff like spells from other mods, there's a ton of fun to be had with that. I honestly, I really want to try that out some more. Because these things are so cool. There is one more important thing to cover pertaining to dragons. And that is a dragon forge. I will say as a disclaimer, before you make a dragon forge, you're going to either need your own dragon, or you're going to need a way to chain a dragon and bring it with you. But I mean, if you're strong enough to chain a dragon, you're probably strong enough to get your own, so might as well just do that. So the Dragon Forge is a multi-block structure made up of Dragon Bone blocks, Dragon Forge Fire Brick, which is simply scales and stone bricks. You're going to need a fire aperture, a single fire aperture, which is 4 of those fire bricks and 4 iron. Well, there appears to be a needed block here. It's actually just something that will show up when the structure is done, and not actually something that you need. In the center, however, you will need this, a fire core, which can be made relatively easily with just a fire dragon heart and fire brick. This one's glowing because it's already powered, which I'll get to in a sec. Anyway, if I replace these blocks, you can kind of see the outline of the structure. Shouldn't be too hard to figure out, but if you really need help, there's some information on how exactly to build this in the bestiary. But there you go. Once you have this, you can right click here and it allows for you to input materials. This is the Fire Dragon Forge. The Ice Dragon Forge is made the same way, but instead of using fire brick, you use ice brick. And they each make dragon steel ingots of their appropriate type. So here, you just put an iron and fire dragon blood. Obviously, it would be ice dragon blood in the ice forge. And then put a dragon nearby, and it should eventually breathe fire on the dragon forge to power it. If your dragon's being too problematic, just use the dragon command staff to tell it to stay. And that should hopefully fix things. Yeah. My mascot here seems to be a lot more willing to help now. There we go. This stuff is very good. Not only does it make the best weapons and tools in the game with an almost absurd 25 attack damage, although it's not that insane compared to some other mods out there. It's very good compared to everything else out here. And with Fire Dragon Steel, it'll ignite and knock back targets. But if you get Ice Dragon Steel weapons, instead, it'll freeze targets in place. So both are useful for different purposes. You can also get Dragon Steel armor, which not only is way better than Diamond in protection, but it's also gives you resistance to breath attacks, like really well, where you can just potentially tank level 5 dragon breath attacks. So that's the main use of this forge. There's not much else you can do with it besides making these ingots and making these advanced tools and weapons. It felt important to mention though, is it's the best gear in the mod. Thank you so much for watching. I know this video wasn't an in-depth tutorial on everything here, but it's going to have to come out in multiple parts because Ice and Fire is actually a really cool mod, and I kind of wanted to give a whole episode to dragons, so I kind of left all the other stuff out. But there's actually a lot of other cool stuff in this mod though. Like there's Miromexes, which are like giant ants almost. There's Medusa. There's Cyclopses. There's Liches. It's really awesome. But this mod started with dragons. Dragons are my mascot, and dragons are still potentially the biggest part of this mod. So it felt important to focus on them. Thank you so much for watching. If you could like or subscribe, that would be really helpful, especially subscribing. But I mean, I won't say no to a like. And if you don't feel like being notified, then I guess you don't have to. But there isn't really any downside for you, and it helps me, so